assassinate tight. And it occurs to me that I'm saving these into the wrong file folder, but I'll deal with that later. All right, so we can move our random number down to 5, um, and we're going to start working. So we got a number 4 again. Starting to question this random number generator, but we're going to go to the fourth one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a postcard. We're going to pick another random number, and that is 3. So 1, 2, 3. Understand is our verb. And our third and final number is the number 3. 1, 2, 3. Wooden. Um, so we're going to have a wooden postcard that um, that is understanding something. Perhaps I think we can work with this. So what happened a lot in the olden days is we would have one castle over here, and so this is a big castle, and maybe there's a big kind of big area in the middle where the royalty would live. And so this is on not a scale basis. So then we're going to have a river, and then we're going to have another castle over here, of similar stature. Perhaps they are copying each other because of overcompensation for something. Um, and so they have their two castles here. Maybe this one's slightly pointier, this one's slightly rounder, and they've had some debates about which is more grand, but we'll leave that for another day. But we can actually erase this part right here and finish this guy off like that. And so we have our two castles like this, and we're going to have some grassy areas here. And some grassy area. Oh, sorry. Don't want to impede on the castle with the grass. I've done it again. Alright, so we'll get some grass in the middle, we'll get some grass over here, and some grass on the bottom. And then in the middle, this is a river, so we're going to just draw some lines going through it, and perhaps some swirlies. The fireworks are actually getting somewhat intense outside at the moment. So we're just coloring in this river, and then maybe the castle itself is gray. And you may be wondering, what does this have to do with a wooden postcard? But we'll get there. Some of you may be guessing that, so you can post that in the chat. We have actually hit an hour, so that means there's about 30 minutes to go until midnight, because I started right at about 10:30, and it is now 11:30. And so this one's going to be a little bit darker, of a gray, just because they have a different set of stones to work with. Not necessarily changing anyone's perspective on them due to this darker shade. Simply just a region-based changing in hue. So what I'm getting at is, if these two castles are built here, they're going to need some trade routes, and perhaps there's a bridge here that will just erect in the non-phallic way to stand as a means of transportation over this river. But you may be wondering, what would this route be used for? And perhaps there is a beautiful princess here, and there is another royal person of unspecified gender, and these people are interested in each other, So they would be writing letters because this is olden times with royalty. Um, but perhaps this is so far in the past that the actual paper itself has not been brought to these kingdoms. They are very secluded. So if they have the technology to build wooden bridges, then we know that they can acquire wood, and they would perhaps create a wooden structure that is, um, in fact, the past day equivalent of a postcard. So perhaps there's some drawings like, "Hi, I live in the pointy castle over across the river. I noticed from a vast distance that you were a person and you are alive, and I was interested in perhaps marrying you without knowing anything about you." So that would all be explained on this wooden postcard. Now, being wooden, there would be some dimensionality to it, so I'll go ahead and add that. And we're gonna now. I mentioned that this was not to scale, but what I am going to say is that these castles and the postcard are in are ratioed accordingly. So the postcard is actually massive. It would take a bunch of people to carry this. It would be wood is not the most dense, but it is fairly heavy in large quantities. So we're going to take this amount of people and multiply it by at least 12. That would be a crapload of people to pick up this wooden postcard and bring it to um, unspecify the third. There we go. Unspecify the third, and this is Poinita the last. And so they would carry this postcard that is what are the words we're working with? Where you have a wooden postcard that is used to understand. So what this could do is it would actually in olden days when there were trade routes and transactions, or perhaps just letters written between communities, they were often used as a sort of Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone actually being a physical stone that was used in a transaction. And what I mean by that is when we look at these structures and parchments that have a bunch of different languages on them, we can use them and compare the translations that are on them in order to learn all of the languages. The Rosetta Stone actually allowed us to learn, I believe, 4 different languages at the same time because everything was translated. It was translated 3 times from the original language into 3 other languages. I'm not completely certain about that, but so olden time letters like this actually do allow us to understand languages, which is why I was going with this route. But I hope that Unspecifo and Poinita solve their lowercase problems and evolve into a higher, more understanding community. So we're going to save this off as what is this? This is wooden postcard understand. And we'll save that, and we're gonna keep on trucking along.